Are we recording? Oh, okay. What is the goddamn deal, YouTube? Is of course your boy Vuhlandes back with another video. Today's video we're shooting with a digital camera, trying to make it look like film again, but we're gonna go about it a little bit differently this time. Yeah, was that good? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing no more. Naomi's here. Steph is here. Yeah. But anyway, let's do that. But anyway, what I'm doing right now is I'm just setting up inside the camera because I know everybody watching this does not own a Fuji camera, so it's not as easy. So what I'm doing is just setting up like white balance and just like the colors within the camera to get it closest to a film look as possible. So, you know, we got some dynamic range going on, trying to get the most dynamic range out the camera because, you know, film has a lot of dynamic range with the highlights and the shadows. Bumping the shadows, lowering the highlights, so we just get that immediately. The colors, not as, what is that, saturated, because, you know, don't be that saturated and all that. And then just like the colors. Oh wait, fuck, I get that. Oh, white balance. That's what I'm thinking of. Setting up the white balances and like the blues and the reds, the greens, all that. So, what's gonna get the closest look to Portrait 400, which is what we're trying to go for. But once we get home on the computer and talk about it a little bit more, we'll figure that out. Also, I'm shooting with the Vuhlandes lens that I use on my Leica camera because it's gonna have more character than, you know, this lens, which is fully digital and all of that. So this lens compared to this lens is gonna push it more to look like film. Also, I'm shooting with a Pro Mist on it, so it could take that digital edge off a little bit, because that's what it's all about. Because if it looks digital, it's clearly going to look digital, which in this case, we're going to do as much as we can to make it look less digital. Also, we're shooting with Naomi. I'm not going to take very many of these photos because I only need like 2, I think. All right. Dope. Here, I want to get a full body one. Color, so we can really see that color in these photos. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad, too off. Here, turn to the side again. Yeah, perfect. All right, 1, 2. This isn't really film, like I'm just like blasting off photos. Here, I'm gonna get just like your lower half. Turn to the side again, so I can see the tats. Perfect. That's good. All right. Turn your body more that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured.
All right, so now that we are back at the crib, I do just want to take this time out to go over a few 2 to 3 things before we get started with the editing process of this video. But before we get into any of that, shout out to Fuji X Weekly. As I do mention, for me, I do use a Fuji camera, so there are, you know, recipes and film simulation recipes that you can set up within your camera that makes it easier to get kind of that film look straight out of camera, which is what I did, and I'll go over that a little bit more when I'm editing these photos. So shout out to Fuji X Weekly per usual. So one, let's make it very clear before starting off anything that yes, shooting film is the best way to get the film look within your photos. So a digital sensor could never be fully matched with a film strip. Yes, well aware. So personally, I do shoot film for my own personal reasons, but here and there I still do shoot with my digital cameras, and I don't want my digital photos to look too far off from my film photos. So I do still try to get my digital photos to look good enough to be next to my film photos and not look too far off. There's characteristics, colors, and just an overall feel and mood for film that cannot be replicated, even though people in Hollywood with their movies, they try to replicate film in movies. Other photographers try to replicate film in their photos, and whether they do a good job of it or not is none of my business. I personally believe in just letting people do what they want. You cannot let your emotions and opinions and things you believe in control the space and community. Clearly, shooting film is going to be the best way to get you the film look, but you got to understand that we are all different. Not everybody wants to shoot film, not everybody can afford to shoot film, and a lot of people are just like trying to have fun, and they're doing things for their own reasons. So just because you feel so passionately about something and you think things should be done this way and things shouldn't be done this way and the community needs to do this or don't, just let it go. Just let it go. Let people do what they want. This is YouTube, so if you have a better way of doing things, or you want to do the things you want to do or hear the things you want to hear, you're more than welcome to make a YouTube channel and start doing it yourself. So please, let's please leave the condescending, rude, and inappropriate and just unnecessary comments to a minimum. All right, so now we are in Lightroom and we're ready to get started editing some of these photos. Normally what I would do is I would take one of my film presets and just apply it to the photo and then edit the photo off of the film preset. If you want to check out some of those film presets, they are in the description, but for this video we're going to start it off by scratch and just, you know, get into it. So all right, so if you've watched any of my editing videos before, you know that I just kind of go all over the place, and then I come back and do what's needed as I see it. So just bear with me and try to follow along. So we're gonna, you know, brighten it up, so plus 80 in exposure. We're gonna bring these tints down to about -10 because yeah, just because we're gonna bring this up to about +5. Everything needs to be real subtle, because a lot of the things that we like in film photos is because of just things we don't really even notice, which is the colors and the tints and things that's not really noticeable just first looking at a photo. So yeah, so moving on, we're gonna bring these highlights up. We're gonna bring these shadows up actually, and then bring the whites up a little bit, and bring these darks down. So we, you know, create a little bit more contrast. We're gonna bring this texture to 5 because film be having that texture that we like, but we're gonna try to take some of that digital edge off as much as we can, and that means bringing the clarity down. So we're gonna bring this clarity down, but not too much because we don't want the photo too soft. And then dehaze, we're gonna bring that up to about +5. Everything is very subtle. Like I said, we don't want to overdo anything. Vibrance +10 because, you know, Portrait 400 has those good colors. And as I was saying that, these are the Portrait 400 Fujifilm recipes, but I did do my own thing and change it up just a little bit to my liking. So I will put my settings for my Fuji camera on screen just so you guys can see how, you know, I shot these and what they were shot at. We're gonna bring the saturation down to about -5, and then coming down here to the tone curve, we're gonna fade these shadows to about 20. Bring these darks down to about 35-ish. 34 is fine. Bring the lights up, and then we're going to mute these highlights just a little bit, just to, you know, get a good basic look. And to me, honestly, to be completely honest, this photo looks fine, and I would be happy just posting this. Like it looks really good already, but just a few things that, you know, are kind of bothering me that we're gonna fix. So we're gonna bring these reds down to about -20. Bring these orange just down to about -5, not -5 is fine. And then we're gonna bring these, as you can see, the yellows are affecting like the top part of the image. So I don't want it too yellow, but also I don't want it like too orangish either. So I'll probably bring that to around 5. You know, this blue is affecting her dress, roughly this color, a good color, but Portrait's blues and greens and oranges very hard to recreate, so we're just gonna do our best to, you know, get them to look as good as possible. Like that. And then coming down here to the saturation, this is when we're going to bring some of that saturation back. So in her shirt, which is red, even though it looks orange, but yeah, but it is also orange, so we're going to bring that up. Bring these yellows, we're gonna bring them down a little bit because we'll add that back, and I'll let you guys know how in a second. These blues, definitely want to saturate them just a tad bit, but not too much. And then purple, saturate just a little bit. And then coming down to luminance, we'll bring that up just so things are a little bit brighter, but you don't want to overdo things either. Don't even know why I messed with that. And yellows. All right, then coming down to the color grading, and this is probably the most important part when it comes to editing photos in general, not just when you're trying to get it to look like film, because this is where it's going to get its magic touch, and this is where you're going to get that look that you are looking for, or create a look that you're looking for. In this case, the film look is what we're trying to create, so we're gonna do that. So starting off with the highlights, I usually, bring these up to around the hue, bring it up more to the orangish, yellowish area, and then saturation very subtle, so we're gonna do that around 10. And then shadows, we're gonna bring that up to around 15, but we're going to make them bluish greenish there. And as you can see, it's affecting like her hair and just the shadow parts of the image. So just look at that and figure out how much you really want to add. Probably add put that at 13. And then the midtones, which is the most important part to me, I'm gonna bring that up, and then I'm gonna put it more towards orange. Then bring that saturation down a little bit. Then blending, 63, around 63, and then bring the balance down to around -35. And that usually looks great for me and like what I'm trying to, create. And then with sharpening, what we don't want to do is over sharpen an image, because clearly an over sharpened image is never looks great. So yeah, we're just gonna add some sharpening, but not too much. I like 30 and then 35 for the detail. We're gonna put some noise reduction in it, just to flatten out the image and just soften it up just a little bit more. And then what I like to do is I like to add some grain to this bad boy, like 30, 40. Then the size of the grain is smaller, just not too, you don't want too big of like grain particles, everybody can see it. So after I'm done with everything, I usually bring everything into Photoshop, and I have this film grain like kind of overlay that I use when I'm working on digital photos that I got from a friend. It's a good film grain overlay. I would just overlay that, and then for opacity, bring it down to around 70, and yeah, I would be done. I forgot to crop this photo, so I'm gonna do that real quick, and then yeah, now I would be done. So that's, to me, looks and feels like film. Even though it's shot with a digital camera, it still gives off like a little bit filmic vibe, and just overall looks good to me, and I would be happy sharing this alongside of my film work. So yeah, all right, so that's probably going to wrap it up for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this little editing session. If you guys would like to see how I edit my film photos, just let me know in the comments below, and then maybe I'll make a video about that. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for me. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, I'm not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. We're gonna get out of here, man. We're gonna go do some shit and go shoot with some real film now. You feel me? You know the vibes. Let's get it.